Welcome to Backyard Cigars. And this particular February, the Asian community, as well as many others, including myself, celebrated Chinese New Year. And many cigar makers have been doing what they always do, right? Looking for any excuse to put out a limited or slightly special cigar in commemoration of a holiday or a special day. And the Chinese New Year presents a perfect opportunity for many of them to do so. I believe there are 12 zodiac signs, so that's 12 cigars. Anyway, this cigar that I'm holding here is none other than Davidoff Year of the Tiger, Piramide. Now, this is a 5x52 Piramide from Davidoff, and I got this on a pre-order, and I got it sometime, I believe I ordered it in October. I got it sometime later in the year, and it's been resting for a few months in the humidor at about 66, 67 RH. And I was waiting for a warmer day to smoke this because it has a delicate wrapper. But we're going to touch base on that as well as a few other things about this cigar. First, I'm going to tell you what goes into it. Now, this is an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper, and it's using a hybrid 257 Seco for the binder leaf. The filler is Piloto Cubano, Dominicano. Then you've got San Vicente Mejorado Seco, San Vicente Mejorado Viso. Then you've got Hybrid 254 Viso and Hybrid 259 Seco. Now the 257, Hybrid 257 Seco that they're using for the binder I actually believe that it was used in wrapper grade quality for the first series that they released back in 2010 for the Yamasa project. Puro de Oro, I believe, was the name of the line, and it employed some tobaccos from the Yamasa region. Likewise, some of the tobaccos in here are also hailing from the Yamasa region in the Dominican Republic. Why am I mentioning the Yamasa region in the Dominican Republic? Well, the importance of that is in the hybrids and in the development of that particular area in the Dominican Republic. That was something that, well, we're looking now back nearly 20 years maybe or more, that Henry Kellner and Mr. Peralta, I forget his first name, so I know his last name, Peralta, and he and Kellner were out there looking for the next big thing in the Dominican Republic. And I believe his name is Martin. And Peralta went to Cuba to study to study everything about their soil and climate. And then he returned with that information, and they pretty much scoured the Dominican Republic looking for an area that they could use to grow tobacco. And the Yamasa region was near a lot of lakes and rivers, so it was perfect, but it was a coarse, dry earth, and it had been damaged from previous farming that had just really depleted it of its nutrients. Long story short, they chose that area, and a lot of experiments came out of it. A lot of hybrid experiments, a lot of seed experiments. So when you talk about this particular cigar and the use of the Hybrid 257 Seco for the binder, we're talking about a Dominican hybrid that they have developed. And it's been a long journey. But they're not alone in this. You know, other people like the Reyes family also experiment with a lot of different hybrids and seeds in the Dominican Republic. It's just what you do it's called progress and innovation. And as long as you're not doing anything too crazy, we've touched on that in the past, it's good work. Now, I've told you what goes into the cigar and the fact that some of it comes from the Yamasa region, or that's what I read. I will tell you that in order for them to achieve that striped look on the cigar, they basically take dark wet tobacco veins and lay them over the Connecticut, a bright Connecticut shade color wrapper, and they press it for 2 days. And then after several days more, they gently remove them. And that leaves an imprint resembling the stripes of a tiger. Pretty cool. I've got to admit that. I kind of like that. I thought that was something very different. Should that, or even the combination of that and the very good tobacco that's in it, because there's very good tobacco in here, justify the price tag of $42? Well, we'll do a side note talk on that, but let's talk about some flavors. And it's not Martin Peralta, it's Manuel. So excuse me, Mr. Peralta. That is Manuel Peralta and Hendrik Kellner that were a big part of the hybrids in the Yamasa region project. The cigar has been in its first inch. It's been sweet. It's been light cedar, light baking spices, some nuttiness coming off of the flavors along in the finish. Yeah, it's like a nice nutty, slightly baking spice flavor with some nice sweetness. Not overly sweet, just sweet enough. A little bit of a bready note as well. It's 62 degrees today. It's slightly windy. It's about 10 miles, 12 mile per hour winds. So I'm watching the burn line, and I can tell you that the burn line is just perfect. Just perfect. It's very smooth. It's medium bodied, medium in flavor, and in strength, I would probably say that it's a medium as well. I like that the burn line is behaving well, because we're gonna have to talk about the wrapper sooner rather than later. But I wanted you to know that there is this feeling of quality that you can appreciate. It's not a feeling of quality. It's an appreciation of the quality of the tobacco that is in here that your palate can sense. It can sense the refinement of said tobaccos. They're smooth, they're well balanced. The flavors are prominent but not overly prominent. They're going back to that balance, which is key. Is just really good balance, and of course the aesthetics are very pleasing. It's just a work of art until it goes south. And now that I think about it, I've heard that phrase like a million times ever since I was a little kid, right? People have used it for as long as I can remember, until it goes south. And I'm starting to think about just now, as I said it, why do people say that? Or why did I just say that? Like, what was I? Obviously, I know why I said it. I was trying to say until things go bad, right? But why south? Why isn't north just as bad? So I have to apologize for that, because it's a phrase that I never really thought about what it would signify. And now that I think about it, my educated guess is that, maybe at some point, and I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I'll probably look this up later on. But on the fly, I'm going to think, because at one time the southern part of the United States was the enemy, was the bad guy. And it was perceived, I guess, in my minds for a long time in the United States, that the Southerners were responsible for the Civil War and for all the chaos that ensued afterwards. I'm not giving a history lesson here. I'm just saying maybe that's why people say it. I don't know if that's why people say it, but that's not what I meant, obviously, and I'm sure most people don't mean that. But I think that what I should just say is that this cigar performs very well as long as the wrapper stays intact. And that's when things can go terribly wrong. I've had the pleasure and the luxury of of smoking this cigar several times before this particular review with this cigar. And I'll say I smoked it about 4 or 5 times. And I was also in the presence of a friend who was very well heeled and had no problem smoking 4 of them in one night at our local B&M, which the price tag was $65 for each one. He can afford to do that. I was smoking my Padrones that I brought from home after purchasing 2 or 3 cheap cigars from their humidor, and I thought to myself, I know I paid a lot for these Padrones, but I can't imagine paying $65 at this B&M for that cigar. Of course, when you have that kind of fund, you can do that. Anyway, he loved it, and he told me over and over how good it was and how balanced it was, and the sweetness. And he's Dominican, and he was able to tell me that, yeah, I don't know if I can appreciate this the way you might, because I don't know about cigars like how you do, but I like it enough that I'm gonna smoke this exclusively tonight. And the last time I checked on him, it's been his God, it's embarrassing, right? It's his everyday go-to cigar. He has boxes. And the cigar is hard to get a hold of. If you go online right now, you're not going to find many places that have it. Even in a single, even in a 5-pack or 10-pack, whatever, it's not going to be easy to find online. You're literally going to have to go to your BMMs, and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it. Yeah, nice baking spice nuttiness with a good dose of sweetness, honeygram sweetness. It transitions and it goes in and out of these flavors, but it does so seamlessly, and there's an elegance to that. But of the 4 cigars that my friend smoked of the Davidoff Year of the Tiger, 2 of them had binder busting cracks that developed horribly as the cigar progressed, as he kept smoking it. The other 2 were fine until the final third. There were signs of the wrapper at the nub kind of breaking up a little bit, but not causing any major problems. Now, of the 4 that I've smoked, 3 have had wrapper issues. 1 was fine because I added a little bit of glue on a couple of areas that I determined to be a potential problem, and that helped me keep that one fully intact. But don't know what would have happened if I hadn't done that, right? The other, like I said, the other 3 had wrapper issues. One of them I smoked on a 50-degree day with a little heater near me, so it was like 60 degrees, and it split in the middle, probably in the second, third, and it just kept traveling, but it didn't bust the binder, so I was good, and I kept smoking, and I loved it. It was a great experience, but in the back of my mind, that was there, right? The delicateness of this wrapper. So the other one, it developed very quickly at the head of the near the cap, and I had to add glue to that. But that crack kept developing as well, and luckily I was able to use the glue and I was good. But I think you understand what I'm saying. There have been wrapper issues with many of these cigars, and I have a theory as to why this wrapper might be so delicate. My theory is that in the process of taking the Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper, laying it down, and then applying the dark, wet veins, tobacco veins over it, and then pressing it for 48 hours, and then leaving them after the pressing for another several days, and then removing them carefully. Perhaps some of that pressure, and I don't know how much pressure is being used, right? Or what is being used to create that pressure, might be compromising that tobacco wrapper. I see it as a possibility because I'm sure we've all smoked Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrappers, and we know that they're slightly delicate, and we know that it's a thin wrapper, and that we should probably smoke it under warmer weather. Perhaps 50 degrees, 60 degrees for me that day was not warm enough either, but it certainly was warm enough in the B&M lounge. So, and it's warm enough today, I believe so, because I've smoked other Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrappers under such conditions. Some of us have smoked them under even worse conditions and gotten favorable results. And the idea is that why is one, or the question is why is one Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper much more delicate than the other? Well, everyone processes their tobacco differently, different treatments, and I think in specific, this cigar is using a probably never before used technique that I've ever heard of, at least. So now you've got this wrapper that's been pressed on, stained with the stripes, and then you've got what comes after, which is the whole process of rolling the cigar using that wrapper, which I'm sure a lot of care is taken. But there's just been too many issues with this cigar and its wrapper, in my instance and in my friends, and I'm going to call him up probably next week and ask him how many more have been having that issue with him. He's just so content with them that he doesn't even care, but he should. He's paying $65 for each, or whatever it was, the amount when he bought the box. It's a $42 cigar, is what Davidoff asked for it. You're paying for the name, the prestige. You're paying for the work and the research that they've done in developing the hybrids and in developing the tobaccos that are grown and used for these special limited cigars. I can understand why, as Davidoff, you look at your price range and say, we're 42 or $40, whatever. But the reality is this is a $25 cigar. Maybe 30. Maybe, if you like it that much, $30. And that's just being, realistic about this here. We know that very few cigars are really worth over $25, $30. Very few. The 80th anniversary from Padron usually goes for about $34. And most of us will gladly pay those $33, $34 for that Padron. We will, because we know we've either heard of the legendary status or we've had it many times and we're familiar with it and we know what it's going to bring to the table, whether it's natural or Maduro. With a limited release, sometimes you do expect a higher price tag. But come on now, give me a break. This is a wonderful cigar. It is very tasty. I love the flavors that come off of it. I love the way the baking spice and the cedar and the nutty sweetness are combining. I love the balance. I love the transitions. I love the look. I don't think that you can say this is a successful venture if too many people's Year of the Tigers are having wrapper issues. Now, I don't have the statistics to back this up, right? I only have, a friend who's probably smoked at least 50 of them, and I got to get the full report from him. I only know of a few that have had issues for him. And then I've had my issues, but I've only had 4 plus 1 is 5. That's really not enough to go on. One could say, well, maybe it was where you got it from, the B&M where you got it from. Well, not all of mine came from that B&M. Only one came from that B&M, and that's the one I'm holding now. The others I bought online. So I don't know. I'm not saying that every cigar that you're gonna buy of this is gonna have a wrapper issue. But one thing is for sure, the wrapper is thin and delicate. So beware. Other than that, thank you for watching Backyard Cigars. I want to tell you that this is something you smoke down to the nub. It is tasty down to the nub. It never gets bitter, never gets harsh. It still hasn't dropped its ash, and it's smoking wonderfully. It is a wonderful cigar, and I've enjoyed it every time I've smoked it, despite the issues. But that doesn't make me say to myself that I don't care. I get a little upset when you pay this amount of money for a cigar. You want complete performance across the board. You want everything to perform the right way. If it's not the flavor profile that you're comfortable with, that's one thing. You can say the preference for you, or it wasn't your cup of tea. But construction wise, you give me a beautiful cigar, but if and this is just like having a beautiful car, and if certain parts of that car don't perform, then you're not going to enjoy driving it. So thank you for watching Backyard Cigars, folks. Till next time, happy Year of the Tiger.